the Pacific Championships, Pacific Cup we're talking about today, Bergs, with the Australian Kangaroos. Guys are going to be going through the strengths and weaknesses of this team, how they're going to go. They're obviously versing Tonga this week, and how we think they're going to play in that game. So, firstly, Bergs, obviously a bit of cutlery on offer here, the Cup and the Bowl.
Yeah.
What are you more excited for?
Huge stuff. Pacific Championships won by the Kiwis last year, so hopefully the Australian team can step up this year. I'm very interested in the squad that they've picked. It's almost like a changing of the guard that I'm seeing here with, guys like Mitch Moses, Tom Dearden expected to play in the halves. No Cherry Evans, no Nathan Cleary, obviously, with injury. But, a lot of players that have pulled out as well. And it doesn't seem to be on everyone's agenda to play in the Pacific Championships every year.
I'm excited, though. It's a fun team.
Yes.
A lot of creativity in it. I'll just go through the team, by the way, guys. So we've got fullback, Dylan Edwards. In the wing spots, we've got Zach Lomax and Xavier Coates. At center, it's looking like Hamiso and Turbo. By the way, these are predicted teams, so it could be different. Halves, you got Tom Dearden, Mitch Moses, which I think is a nice combination. Then the forward pack runs through Paddy Carrigan and Lindsay Collins at prop. We've got Angus Crichton, Cam Murray in the back row, with Isaiah Yeo at lock, Harry Grant at hooker, and then expecting Ben Hunt, Ruben Cotter, Mitch Barnett, and Hudson Young on the bench there. So it's a good side, but what we're going to work through today is some strengths and weaknesses for this team.
Yep.
So first strength here that I'm seeing right away, it is jumping off the page and it's jumping through the air, the aerial assault of this team, right? So you put Mitch Moses in this team, who I think has the most pinpoint kicking game in the comp, and you give him Zach Lomax and Xavier Coates. Lomax, who's joining him next year, by the way, bit of a preview for Para fans. We're going to love that. But you give him those targets to kick towards. I think they're just going to be unstoppable against most of these teams.
100%. It's going to be tough to rein these guys in, as it were. I think a lot of the Islander teams are very power game focused, whereas this Australian team looks to be maybe a bit more silky, a bit more relying on Dylan Edwards for those tough carries out of the back yardage, and then getting their mobile forward pack moving, because it seems to be pretty mobile in terms of they haven't chosen a lot of big guys. I would say that competition in the front row is interesting. I think Mitch Barnett could get a starting spot, could snag a starting spot here, and Grant is going to be great to play off the back of that as well. So being able to get a roll on is going to be, I think, a little bit tough for Australia. But if Isaiah Yeo can play like he played in the grand final, I don't really see them getting through this with too much of an issue. I think going with the fullbacks in the centres is always interesting. I think maybe Bradman Best could get a spot here in the centres, maybe later in the tournament, a couple of games, maybe rest a few players. But Zach Lomax and Xavier Coates are going to be terror. Towers on
cannot be stopped. There'll be tries coming off that every single game. You did allude to the second strength here as well that I've got. So the unstoppable centers, the set of centers they have, just incredible ball runners, right? So Turbo, Hamiso, you've got Bradman Best as well. I'm taking Bradman Best over pretty much anyone in this Australia team. And the reason for that is there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and Bradman Best is a guy who he just runs hard. He runs his lines. He's where you want him to be. And I could see Mitch Moses just feeding him some quality ball. I think they're going to combine quite a bit in this game. So that center pairing or that center set is again going to be really hard to cover. I don't think anyone else can really compete with it.
No, it's a very new combinations that they're trying to work on as well, with guys like James Tedesco not being selected. I think that giving opportunity to some guys who were great in Origin this year, especially for the Blues, because they won this year's Origin, like Bradman Best. I think Reece Robson deserves to be in this team. No diss on Harry Grant and Ben Hunt, like they're the Maroons, like hooker interchange combination, but like let's be honest, like the Maroons didn't play that well this year, and I think Ben Hunt should maybe go back and focus on playing for the Dragons. To tell you the truth, not saying that he can't play at this level, but I just think that Reece deserves a shot in this Australian side, and I think Ruben Cotter will be in and around it as well. I'm tipping my Cowboys hat there, but I'm very interested to see how it all shapes out in the combinations front, because we got Edwards from the Panthers, Moses from the Eels, then you got Dearden, who played for Queensland, then Harry Grant also played for Queensland. So it's a very big juxtaposition between the positions. Normally you'd have a Daly Cherry Evans in there who'd be able to be there for a while and then control.
No Cherry, no Munster, no Tedesco. A lot of these guys.
How do you feel about Moses? Like, I don't know, you're a Para fan. I want to get your thoughts on this. Like Moses playing this championships, is it a bit of a slap in the face to Para
Moses
fans?
Doesn't really play for Para. He's more like a full-time rep player. So they've picked guys for Origin from reserve grade before, and that's kind of what's happening here. Right? No. Look, I think Moses gives a lot to Parramatta. He puts his body on the line every week. He turns up. If he gets injured, I'll be pissed off. But
fair enough. Yeah.
I think he's okay. Like he gives it all to Parramatta, and this is a good thing for him to do. He has been overlooked in rep teams for quite a while as well. Obviously, Cleary is this generational talent. He's sort of stuck behind him. But in different eras, Moses would have been a consensus 7 for the Blues.
Yeah,
for a 5-year period, right? Like you look at some of the ones we had sort of 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's not great. There's a fair few of them.
So as a Para fan, I'm happy to see him get this chance at rep footy. I think he'll come back with plenty, and I'm excited to see him play with Lomax. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm feeling all right about that. But yeah, you mentioned the hooker stuff there. So Ben Hunt is a really competent backup half, is the only reason I would say you've got to have him in there as opposed to someone else on the bench hooker spot. Just because if Moses was to get hurt, Dearden's not really a controlling half, so we're kind of stuffed. Okay. Whereas Ben Hunt does come in and play that role pretty well. That's the one reason I would say. Otherwise, I do think Robson is the better hooker, but Hunt can have that bench utility effect better than Robson can.
Definitely.
Looking at the forward pack, it's a tough pack. Like it's guys I don't want to run at basically. So Paddy Carrigan, Angus Crichton, Cam Murray in particular, and then you got Cotter on the bench, Mitch Barnett, Hudson Young, all guys who force errors with their hits. So
I think Martin pulling out as well gave the opportunity for Hudson Young to come in.
I'm excited to see it. Yeah. I think Hudson Young is a stud. He was in my underrated list.
Yeah, he was.
I think he's starting to get more and more rated as he goes along, but he's one of the more creative back rowers in the game, and he's an underrated defender. He hits hard. He's a savage.
Yeah, what I like from Hudson Young is he is a bit of a dog, bit of a mongrel on the field.
You want that on your team though, man.
I think that's something I spoke about not just this year, but also last year in terms of him getting picked for Origin. He was a bit of a agitator, I thought, on the field as well. He gets you angry at him, and that's almost what you want. You want from him, it would almost be, I want their focus to be on me, not playing their game, and sticking to their structure or whatever. I love the Hudson Young pick. A couple of guys who I guess maybe got left out of the side, and maybe through injury as well, is we're not seeing the usual.
Let's segue into weaknesses here, right? So what have you got?
Well, there's not as much experience in this team as there used to be. I think Cherry Evans is there. He's in the squad, but I don't expect him to play too much. And I think guys like Cam Munster have played quite a lot. And Tedesco's a big one, I think, as well. No Payne Haas would have been huge for us as well in terms of the forward pack.
Haas and Tino
had a few injuries this year, and this forward pack is definitely a bit lighter, a bit sleeker than you would normally see. But I'm really excited to see how it all pans out, because I'm surprised at the team that got picked, to tell you the truth. Yeah, it's not where I thought Mal would go, and I think that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm not a big Mal fan.
Because one of the weaknesses I listed there was the Australia effect.
Yeah,
right, where Australia, it feels like when Australia comes out to play, they're almost playing like it's their game to lose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like every single game, and they don't play with that challenger mentality that these guys do play with at club level. Right. So I think picking a guy like Hudson Young, for example, does change that a bit. He's a bit of a dog, like you said. He'll come in and he'll bring a bit of that energy. A lot of the guys they've taken, Angus Crichton takes nothing for granted right now. Right. They've got a lot of guys in there who'll bring that attitude, and who'll be excited to be there. Mitch Moses will be excited to be there. Right. Like, Dylan Edwards, he hasn't been there much either. So
that's the thing. I think it's a bunch of like hungry guys who are looking to play representative football, and I think that's something that's maybe gotten away from us in the last couple of years. Probably explains why we lost the Pacific Championship.
Well, you look at the guys in last year's squad. It's Tuesday for them. It's a regular Saturday. It's
complacency.
This is not it's just not that new for them. It doesn't mar their record. Whereas for a lot of these guys, it might be the only series they play for Australia,
possibly.
If they play poorly, so they're playing for their Australian career, and they're going to be excited about it. I'm really excited for them. So. Yeah, I think
Mal as well. If you tend to go well in an Australian jumper, he tends to stick with you for quite a fair bit. So I'm really interested and loving the opportunity that some of these guys are going to be getting.
Yep. Would you say then, right? Because there's a few things with the roster I think are a bit weird. So Lomax and Coates are the only real wingers.
In
the roster.
That's true. And then he picked like 4 fullbacks.
Yeah, I
think he's very interesting. Some of those guys can play a multitude of positions, but also the forward pack, I think he picked maybe 1 or 2 genuine front rowers as well. And that is also something that concerns me a little bit when they come up against like a big side like Tonga, who could
That's
batter
who we're
them.
on next. Yeah.
Yeah, could batter them. Maybe lack a little bit in the fitness department, Tonga. But no doubt this Australian team's going to be fit, going to be playing the full 80. But can they deal with the high-powered, high-impact running of a team like Tonga?
I think they can, just because of the defensive capabilities of some of these guys. So, we talk about Pat Carrigan being undersized.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. He's putting you on your ass.
No, same with Yo, same thing.
Carrigan in particular, though, like Carrigan chops dudes.
Yeah.
When you watch guys run into Carrigan, you can see they're excited for the game until they hit Carrigan, then they're not.
Yeah. I think Cotter, Murray playing on the edge is interesting as well. Like, I think that maybe Crichton and Murray aren't exactly your number one second rowers in this Pacific Championships. I look at the Tonga second rowers and I go, wow, I would almost say they're better than the Australian ones.
I don't know. I mean, you could move Murray into the middle for a bit when Hudson Young comes on. There's a few options there, but we'll go into Tonga next. Anyway, guys, my prediction here is I've got these guys winning it all. I think that they absolutely nail it. They've picked enough young guys where they're not going to be complacent. They're going to come in. There'll probably be a bit of nerves, a bit of excitement. And I think Moses really just shows out in this, has a lot of plays where they're not big flashy plays, but he just puts the ball in the right spot, because that's the player he is, right? He looks up, he knows where the ball needs to go, and he's got so many playmakers to choose from in this team. He's going to be perfect in that 7 role.
Yeah, he's also had a couple of really stunning games for Lebanon as well, in terms of the way he's played for them. So, no, I think that Moses will step up once again. And I also have Australia winning this, I think, purely because the other teams really haven't picked probably their best squad. And I think the Kiwis are lacking a little bit in the halves. I love the Sean Johnson comeback talk. It's great. It's great that we're going to be seeing Sean Johnson again, but I just don't think the other teams have picked the right squad, to tell you the truth. I took one look at the Kiwi squad and I went, oh God, I don't really like it. I want a way for the Kiwis to win in all of these tournaments. I love picking the outsider, but I just think that this Australia team is going to be young, hungry, and they want to make a bit of a statement, considering they got embarrassed last year.
Well, there you go. Australia wins it all. No big predictions from us. It's
straightforward. Boring. Sorry about that.
We're going to do Tonga. We're going to do the other teams as well. So this week we're just going to do the teams who are playing. But maybe we'll say they win in their videos as well. We'll try and figure it out. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.